Good afternoon. Hope you enjoyed the short video. A man with a vision. Yesterday, Economic Times published an article. A survey conducted last week found that government and politicians are the biggest problem in the USA. The biggest problem. USA is supposed to be the thriving democracy, mature democracy, better governance, better accountability. But we found that Gallup conducted the survey and found that government, politicians are the biggest problem. Ethical, moral decline, as we find here, is coming only 5%. Education, 5%. Healthcare, 6%. Even though some of the media shows that our hospitals are in ICU, even when the chief of our governance says that our hospitals are at European standards and all our leaders go to Europe or USA or some other states for treatment, even in USA they find that government is the biggest problem. So now you can imagine if the same questionnaire is applied in our state, in our country, what would have been the response? So that can speak about the state of our governance. Last week I was in IIM, Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. So I searched the new arrival section in the library. I picked up because I knew I had to give a talk here on policy and research and to intelligent people. So I thought, let me go to the library and see what is happening. So I found some of the books. So one book is Government Against Itself. It's one interesting book. Another is State and Civil Society Under Siege. Another is Poverty and the Quest for Life. Another is New Subaltern Politics, Living Rivers, Dying Rivers. Another is Institutional Failure, Failed States. These are all new arrivals. Another is Corruption in India. India and violence. Then politics trumps economics. The Citizen, about the citizen engagement. And another book from the 2012 Nobel Prize winner from the Stanford University, Who Gets What. So my talk has elements of all this. First, introduction, Pooja has talked about what is governance, what is accountability, and what is good governance, governance in Singapore, governance in OECD countries, and what we have. You have been expressly compared, but then it was implied. So governance, defined by Mario Ramos, it's a process whereby people in power make decisions that create, destroy, or maintain social systems. So you should now assess whether our governance system here is destroying our social system or maintaining it. Anyway, not creating, that you all agree. Then there are several theories behind the study of governance. One is agency theory, like the corporate world. We, the people, appoint certain agents to rule this place. That is the agency theory. Then stakeholder theory, they have to balance different stakeholders. Stewardship theory, they act as trustees or stewards for others. So institutional theory, social identity theory, there are several such theories. The word governance came from Greek, kubernao. It was first used by Plato, meaning to steer. And James Madison's one word, if men were angels, no government would be necessary. Since we find that our men in governance here are not angels, I won't say devils, they may be in between, and also they are not steering well, and also they are destroying our social systems. The study or this lecture of governance is very relevant today. Then governance and government. What government is governance. The way a city, a state, company is controlled by the people who run it. It's groups of people, different definitions. And finally, something that you should do because it is morally right and legally required. It includes policy making and policy execution. The governance agencies, union, state and local governments, then regulatory agencies, universities, the governance of our universities you read in newspapers, the PPPs, industry-led associations, anti-corruption agencies that includes customs, tax agencies, then ombudsman, quasi-legal commissions. Then governance instruments, we all say, policy starts with policies, then legislations, rules, bylaws, contracts, codes, standards, manuals. And yesterday's newspaper says, Economic Times, India needs more entrepreneurs and less policy. So in the beginning you saw the video, I showed you an entrepreneur, uneducated, just a simple person from our neighborhood, from our own neighborhood, and do we nurture, promote, or are we creating as part of our governance system a framework enabling and nurturing and promoting such entrepreneurs here? But we talk about policy, rules, and that person violated that rule, so he has to be punished. But instead, are we creating them? So the world is thinking about less of policy and more of entrepreneurs. Governance system features, these are all theory. A good governance system should have certainty, predictability, clarity, absoluteness, performance, and sustainability. Are we getting performance, good performance from our governance systems, from our educational governance systems, from the PPP governance systems, from the anti-corruption governance systems, from the local governance system? Sustainability, are we, about the 4 pillars of sustainability Pooja has told, so are we getting that? Governance is for what? She again told it is for economic development. We should become like Singapore, or we should become like Germany, or such well-governed countries. So definitely it is for growth, development, prosperity. Then improve the quality of life. She also told about the happiness index. So happiness or self-actualization, as Abraham Maslow was mentioned, individually we should achieve that. And growth is defined as the ability of a state to provide an enabling and affirmative framework for innovations. That's the definition of growth. So I told you in the beginning that innovation, how that person has innovated in our neighborhood. And governance in Kerala, as we see, governance is for its own sake. I want to stay in governance. It is not for growth of the state. It is the people who are in power, I want to stay. I want to prolong my stay. So that is also a purpose of governance. Somewhere we find. Growth at 3 levels from governance. One is at the personal growth level. I want to have a better quality of life. I want to have a better house. I want to have better health. I want to have better education. So, and local community growth. I want to have my neighborhood without burning plastic. I want to have my neighborhood without having any stray dogs. I want to have my neighborhood having a lot of avenue trees so that I can go in the morning and evening for walk. It is having clean air. So neighborhood is very important. My neighborhood, there is no theft. Women can travel or walk at 12 o'clock at night freely. There is no issue. And also state level, we have better quality institutions. So growth can be at these 3 levels as far as state level is concerned. There is global level also. Good governance and accountability is a necessary precondition for successful economic and social development. But how it happens? For that, there should be a honest, effective, responsive government apparatus. That is for good governance. Who will create that? Who will construct this apparatus, which is honest, effective, responsive? It is from the beginning. I showed you the book, I the citizen engagement. We the people who created this country, who gave unto ourselves our constitution. So it is our responsibility to construct this apparatus. I am taking all these things from some of the research conducted on governance and accountability. Then who is government? Somebody thinks that I did this because I am the government. Government has the power, so I am doing it. But who is the government? We read in the first preamble of the Constitution that we are the government. We also see the definition of government. Government for the people, by the people. So Who is the government? Principal element that assures good government is the accountability of public servants. So government on this side, we, all of us on this side. What is the job of the government? Regulation and ensuring rule of law, sustainable development, safety and security of people, assuring safety and security, protection of common goods like common land, common rivers, lakes, seashore, air, forests, so common goods, protection that. Government means again our Lokaayukta Act or Prevention of Corruption Act or other acts define their role, public servants. And they are also trustees. They are also agents as per the agency theory. So on this side are our trustees, agents and our servants, and this side we, the principal. And are they compartmentalized? We should think about today. Are they compartmentalized? Are these two sides, there is a wall in between? Or, it is, we have to apply right to information activists, I have to write to them. If they feel right, sometimes they may give reply properly, sometimes they give reply that, giving a reply itself is so an enormous task, so I cannot give a reply. Such replies also come. So there is a wall. Should this wall exist? Is our state government insulated from society? This also I am taking from some of the research. When there is strict procedural monitoring, then state is insulating from the society. Civil service reforms. Again, if we have more of reforms of civil service, we are again insulating the state from the society. Public sector reforms, again we are insulating because we are strengthening that. We are not creating bridges with the society. Encouraging petitions. So we develop softwares to have online petitions, more of petitions, and again petitions who will handle? We. Sitting on the top of the elephant, we will handle your petitions. So you are down there. So that is again insulating the state from the society. Then treating symptoms than causes, thereby fooling people. There are several examples. Sequential announcements, thereby covering up inactions. I will announce one thing today, and after a week or 10 days, people will forget that. Again, after 1 month, I will make another announcement. So a series of announcements. So inactions are forgotten. Then propaganda to make up, to cover up, and that covers the blemishes. So suppose there is an accident, suppose there is a death, so I will announce that 10 lakhs rupees will be given. So there will not be a treatment to what caused that accident, what is the root cause, but instead freebies are distributed, so everybody is happy. So that is our governance. So that is again insulating the government further from the society. Complex dynamics in governance. People are guided by self-interest. Of course, I want to have my job, a secure job. I don't want to be harassed by anybody. I want to have that car, this house, no troubles. I want to have better education for my children. I don't want to have a transfer. I want to have my permits for my business very easily. And easily means, if I pay some money to somebody, I get it easily. So, self-interest or public interest. Then whose interest and what interest? Our government, it protects whose interest and what interest. And there is a complex dynamics. A long chain of decision makers that causes delay. Then discontinued leadership. In one of the posts where I stayed, fire and rescue services, there are 5 leaders in that organization in 1 year. 5 leaders. And I was the 4th one, I believe, or 3rd one. So, how a person can do something in that organization? Fire and rescue services, life safety ensuring life safety to the people of Kerala. So government wants that 5 people should lead that organization in 1 year. Then initiative killing HR policies, risk avoidance, then interdepartmental communication, each department is a silo. And that is not in our government only, in private sector also, each department tends to be a silo. Now we come to accountability. Accountability by definition is an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility. That is one. Second is responsibility for results. Is our government responsible or think about results? Required to explain actions or decisions to someone. Again, answerability. Who is the someone? Then accountability, again guidelines. Render account for actions and also for inactions and also for negligence. So is our government, the so-called government, render account to us for their actions, for their inactions, for their negligence. Due to their negligence, if there is a death, is anybody giving us answer? Recently, we heard of several deaths due to negligence in governance. When someone acting on behalf of somebody else, the act should satisfy somebody else. When someone acting as per a statute or law, the statute is to protect someone else. If someone selects or elects someone, action should satisfy the person who selects you. So the last one, we find that some of the anti-corruption agencies, it is headed by people who are selected by someone, and then they are answerable to whom? The person who selects them. They are not accountable to the people for whom they are sitting there. So we find that day in and day out, such malady in our governance. Then there are a lot of nominated posts, the transfers also. So I am posted in a choice posting here. So then I am selected in that post there. So I am answerable only to him, not to the people. Then public servants' accountability is to whom? There are two stages of accountability. There is a relationship of performance, is by definition. One is the answerability part. The person who is in power, who is in charge of the action, decisions or inactions, he has to provide information about their decisions and actions and to justify them to the public. And second is not only the information and justification or answerability, but there are certain sanctions also. There should be institutions which provide a remedy or punishment to those who are not providing information or not answering properly to the public. So these two stages are there in the definition of accountability. And there are basically two types of accountability. There is one more, but that is a type of the first one. One is the horizontal accountability, another is the vertical accountability. Vertical accountability is basically the legislature and the judiciary in the public governance sphere. Judiciary is for the legal accountability, and legislature, that is our assembly or parliament, is for the they are political institutions, they are for political accountability. Then there are oversight institutions. I told you the enforcement part of independent. There are anti-corruption institutions for abuse of power by the public servants. These institutions should check. Then supreme audit organizations. Then human rights organizations. Then there is the executive here, responsible government. That is the vertical responsibility, legislature plus judiciary, ideally, and also the chain of command within the responsible government, from the village officer to Tahsildar to subdivisional officer to the collector to revenue secretary. So there is a chain of command. So then that is a vertical accountability. The horizontal accountability is to the people. As I told the previous one, we on this side and the public servant, the government on the other side. So across is the horizontal responsibility or accountability. So there comes the mass media, the civil society, activists, citizen groups. Horizontal accountability mechanisms. We have the local self-government ombudsman, and there are different types of ombudsman. In the universities also we have ombudsman. Then we have Lokayukta. We found the quality of this horizontal accountability mechanism in Karnataka, Lokayukta. It was also, the people, the legal field know how corrupt the Lokayukta became in Karnataka, and then, a lot of rectification measures have to be taken. I'm not talking about Kerala. I can talk safely about my neighboring state because they will not come to attack me. Then corruption control agencies. So are they functional or dysfunctional? Legislative investigative commissions. we found that there is a 2G scam, there was a legislative investigative commission. In Kerala also we have investigative commissions. They are all horizontal accountability mechanisms. Then administrative code like CAT, Central Administrative Tribunals. Then media, citizen groups, activists, they are also on the horizontal accountability field. But for these horizontal accountability structures, it is not practical, or they are not really functional to our satisfaction, because there are large number of decisions and actions and inactions and deficiencies which they have to see. So every day, the different government agencies, the wings of the government, they take maybe thousands of decisions and thousands of non-decisions. So the poison distribution strategies, I mean, the non-decisions, taken. So that also may be in equal number. So how anybody can monitor that? Then absence of second order accountability. Our Lokayukta, whom they are accountable to? They are accountable to none. Other people are accountable to, at least a minister is accountable to the legislature, through the legislature they are accountable to the people. But some of these horizontal accountability institutions, they are accountable to nobody. There is no second order accountability. That is another malady. There is another concept called social accountability. These are also horizontal accountability concepts. Direct civic engagement in extracting accountability. There are several cases in several countries on this. This is also a form of horizontal accountability, a bottom-up process. Then some people call the social accountability, some of the institutions are diagonal accountability. Diagonal means it is not neither horizontal nor vertical. So horizontal means it is the bottom-up. Vertical means the chain of command type, or the judiciary and legislature type. Diagonal means like your Lokayukta. So, they are neither accountable to the legislature, they are not accountable to the people, they are not accountable to anybody. So that is the diagonal accountability. And all these perform watchdog functions. There is no principal-agent relationship. In other cases, the principal is, sometimes it is the legislature is a principal. For the executive, at some stage, legislature is the principal, then executive is the agent. And so other stage, even the elected representatives are agents of the people. So that is a central position the legislature has. Then demand-driven, non-hierarchical, direct answerability from government to citizens. So these are the features of social accountability. Some of the examples are participatory budgeting. In our state, we found that the budgets are a secret document, and that is not leaked to anybody. It is prepared in secrecy, and the secret will be out on one particular moment, at one particular place only. So the social accountability is exactly the opposite that. We create our budget through participation of everyone. There is no secret. So if there is no secret, then budget cannot be auctioned or sold, as we hear often in our governance. Then social audit, performance audit, citizen report cards. All these are experiments done in India. Citizen report cards were experimented in Bangalore. Then citizen advisory forum, access all deliberations, information, reasons and decisions. So these are the aspects of social accountability. One of the primary mechanisms we hear that politicians or the executive, we will approach the people's court. We always hear here, we will approach the people's court. So research conducted found that election is not an accountability mechanism. People's court is just fooling us, It is held, there are also reasons, the research conducted by several authors I have quoted too. It is held in once in few years. Then diversity of opinions and evaluations are channelized to one single ballot. Through one single ballot of choosing one person, several evaluations and opinions have to be merged there. Is it possible? Impossible. Then does not give clear accountability accountability signals to one person. There are a lot of research on accountability signals, how citizens can give accountability signals to the executive. So to one single individual's election will not give accountability signals, because most of the elections are fought on political party level. So Maybe, then one more thing, I elected by a small portion of the population. Most of the winning person, most of the people, they get maybe 40% of the population's vote. Average, maybe 30% even, some of the elections. Still they will be becoming the representative. Out of this 30%, the political parties, because he belongs to a political party, maybe 15% of the votes is because of the political party. Then 10% may be due to some other considerations. And because of that person's accountability, maybe a very minor or a small percentage only. So election is not a accountability signal to an individual. Then clientelistic nature of political parties is another aspect. So even though elections are supposed to be perceived as an accountability mechanism, it is never an accountability mechanism for individual executives. Then accountability for performance. How much percentage of the election manifesto promises are implemented? So in election manifesto, we promise, the first accountability mechanism, elections, we promise that, during the next 5 years, or during the next 1 year, during the next 3 years, Kerala will be made real heaven, real God's own country. But periodically, are we evaluating? Are those promises fulfilled? How much percentage are fulfilled? Second is, every year we have a budget. Budget is again an annual plan. There are money aspect and also the programs aspect. Programs plus money or budget, that is the annual budget. How much percentage of that budget declaration is implemented? Often it is less than 50%. Then percentage of expenditure of governance apparatus. The governance apparatus which we create, how much is its cost? How much we are paying for it? And what percentage of the total tax collection is that governance apparatus cost? And then even after all this, are they performing as per our desire? Traditional versus modern emerging public accountability mechanisms. The traditional are expenditure audits and such things. The modern emerging public accountability mechanisms are multiple array of citizens associations. In different countries they are experimented. Then combination of investigative journals and other these citizen associations, co-management, transversal accountability, social actors directly in pro-accountability agencies, then vertical actions carried out by horizontal agencies, empowered participatory governance. These are some of the emerging accountability mechanisms. Now again I take you back to the first video. In governance, the first thing the executive should have is vision. That ordinary person has a vision to create 1 million jobs. That ordinary person, he never wanted to make money. But what is the vision of our leaders here? Is it 1 million jobs or that money? Specifically, I showed you that video for that purpose. What is the vision of our leaders? Then values, the ability to discriminate right and wrong. So that person had he loves his country, he loves his people, so he wants to improve the condition of the people. Does our governance leaders have any values? Then clarity, certainty of action. Our governance leaders speak one thing 2 months back, exactly opposite now. Have they got any clarity? Then context, that 4%, 7% of women are only using napkins and hygiene issue. He is concerned. That person knows the context in which he is living, and based on that context he has a vision. But whether our leaders understand the context, they talk, how much of the context the poor people, the people on the coastal areas, or the farmers, or people, the paddy farmers, or the vegetable farmers, or the tribal people, how much they know? But they know people who are living in the air, they know very much. Crisis develops then when we are in crisis, government is bankrupt. When we go to the government, they always tell that, we have no money. No money means it is crisis. Crisis comes when there is no vision, or we have departed from the vision, or depart from the values that discriminate what is good and evil, or we have no clarity about our actions, or we have not understood the context of our actions. That means there is no leadership. When there is no leadership, we will be in crisis. We are perpetually in crisis. When we watch the TV or when we read the newspaper, we hear that waste is a big problem. A cancer institute, which is, foundation stone was laid in Cochin, but 16 months are over or 18 months are over, nothing happened. We have only two government sector cancer treatment hospitals in Kerala, one in Trivandrum, another in Calicut or Talasheri, Malabar Cancer Institute, only two. And poor people, where they will go? Since there are no other treatment centers, everybody goes there, and their specialist treatment facilities are wasted because they have to treat non-specialist cases also. And another channel is showing that cancer is increasing. And where are we? Waste is an issue. Our per capita income, where is it? Our debt, state's overall debt, total debt, where are we? Then we are destroying our environment. Do we get clean water? Leadership by the people, for the people. That is our democracy. But is it leadership by the people? Are we leading? Is it for the people or for a few people? Let us see one of the functions of the governance, human resources management. Human resources management starts with recruiting people, recruiting talents. Who does that? Public Service Commission here. So the Public Service Commission, which is entrusted with the responsibility and are therefore accountable for recruiting real talents, and are they recruiting people who are ethical and have values in decisions and actions? If one of the persons they recruited takes an unethical decision, who is accountable? Is the person who recruited us any accountability? Or they should just wash our hands and we are some of the political parties' nominees and we are appointed for 5 years to recruit, to conduct interview. And once we send the letters, our job is over. We are not accountable. Then next is training. We have IMG and several other training institutions. And after giving training, whether the performance has improved, are the training institutions accountable for performance? Then there is a placement, job rotation, job enlargement. And after placement, whether those people, trained people, recruited talents, are they showing any innovativeness? Whether rewards and incentives are given based on merit or based on the people who go every day morning and evening and salute. So, he is reward worthy. And those who do not go morning and evening and salute will not get any rewards. This is our governance in HR. Then some of the other functions, governance functions, safety and security in buildings, roads, houses, parks. Suppose a fire happens in a building, a high-rise buildings, and when more number of high-rise buildings happens, the statistical probability or chances of happening fires also increases. So it is a statistical certainty that there will be fire. So suppose a fire happens, who will be accountable? Is there any accountability mechanism we have got? Will anybody be arrested? Will 304A IPC case will be registered against anybody? Suppose a fire happens in a high-rise building. If that is not registered, then there is no accountability. Of course, somebody may announce that I will give 10 lakhs rupees to the person who died or injured. But that is a diffused accountability. That means there is no accountability. Then for research and development, is there any accountability? Education institution, is there any accountability? Water management, is there any accountability? Environmental management, training, then planning, is there any accountability? Suppose we find that our planning was bad. Can we fix any accountability to on the planning board? So another way, institutional failure, educational institutions. Who is accountable for the failure of our education system? Anti-corruption institutions, when they are dysfunctional, the corruption is increasing, and we are paying money. That means we the people, we are paying money to feed a lot of people in anti-corruption institutions. But is corruption coming down? If it is not coming down, they are dysfunctional or non-performing. But who is accountable for that? Research institutions. Has Kerala got any patents in recent years? Last 5 years, any patents from any of the research institutions? If not, who is accountable? Urban governance institutions. Whether our waste is an issue, whether stray dogs which thrive because of the huge piles of waste is an issue. Then another way of accountability calculation is based on the managerial functions, planning, organizing, controlling, monitoring. So that way also we can analyze accountability. Then accountability, I have compared public governance accountability and corporate governance with respect to medicines. Our health department, we purchase a lot of medicines. And the health department wants that we need to have authentic, potent medicines. Doctors are here, if I am not correct, you should correct me. And corporate governance, they also want that, there should not be any counterfeit medicines available in the medical shops, because that affects my profit. So that is their interest also. But in Kerala, 2 years back, I believe, there was a lot of, some of the TV channels showed that a lot of counterfeit tablets are sold in our medical shops. Price is MRP, that is, it should not be overpriced. Then price cost premium is you look out for the corporate governance. Access to all, medicines should be accessible to all. But for corporate governance, it is reach all target patients. For that, they will, who are the appropriate doctors, who are the which is the appropriate area where this medicine is required, that they will see. Then good storage facilities, so that they are potent and they are effective. Then take back before expiry is again a botheration of those people. Who is governing this both? Is there anybody in Kerala governing? Accountability for governance results on whom? For the results. And private and public, who has more responsibility? Again, think about that video. A small private person. What was his level of accountability to the society? And whether any of our politicians have superior responsibility than that person. It is last week, it is taken from the Ministry of Health, Government of India. Is child immunization in Kerala really this dangerous? It is the official data from the Government of India. We find that, we always tell that, one of the Facebook feedback I got is that, this person doesn't know that, Kerala is very good in health, very good in education. Our infant mortality rate is very low. Our longevity or life expectancy is one of the highest. So this person is talking what he is talking. Kerala is excellent. See, this is the excellence. Recent data. The most dangerous immunization is happening in Kerala. Then another annual status of education report. The children who can read or write or do basic maths, they are declining. So this is our education achievement, performance. Again, government statistics, not private statistics. Up to 2014. So we are very confident, complacent, and live in a state of glory at Horizon 1. We have created institutions and then we are defending those existing institutions and systems. We don't want to change. Actually, we should move to Horizon 2, building emerging systems, build new indicators of success. And from there, experiment, explore, innovate new systems and social processes to reach the Horizon 3. But we are still stuck at 1970s or 1960s achievement at Horizon 1. And from that, we never benchmarked what you saw Singapore or in OECD countries. We benchmarked with Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. We want to go to that level. That is our governance. What Kerala needs? We all need conformists who follow the rules, follow the outdated rules, and then be on the safe zone, conformists. But to bring about change, we need non-conformists. See that particular entrepreneur in Coimbatore, how much struggle he had to follow, and he was a non-conformist. Accountability to promote non-conformists. Is there any accountability? Because if we want to have change, we should have non-conformists. Liberating ourselves from the notion that we base our futures on our past. Now we are basing our futures on our 1970s. And based on the 1970s, we are staying in a state of complacency. But can we liberate ourselves from that? From 1960s laws, British period laws, governance, rejuvenation and renewal. Governance strategy as creating the future. And there will be a tension between mainstream and new stream in that situation. Innovation is required. Entrepreneurial acts in political, economic, social, technological, ecological and legal field. I read from the Center for Public Policy and Research that one of the objectives of this quarterly lecture is to give some new ideas to the intellectual domain which can be debated. So I thought that is my first part. First I defined in the beginning what is governance, then what is accountability and the relationship between accountability and governance, and finally those new ideas, how we can address some of the issues. I chose 5 simple issues, and again I made it into bold. If 5 is not possible, 2 issues. One is no burning of plastic in Kerala. Can we achieve that? Through our governance system, local governance, citizen groups, and other horizontal governance mechanisms and vertical governance mechanisms. Is it possible? Second, no more concrete bunds and walls. The concrete bunds and concrete walls, they destroy our environment. They separate the ecosystems. And wherever the waterscape and landscape is partitioned, there we create these concrete bunds. In Kuttanad, we destroyed Kuttanad because Kuttanad package, they thought that it is having more of concrete is development. Because more of concrete means the contractors will get money, and the more contractors get money, some of the local guys also get some percentage. So that was development there, but they destroyed it. And now, yesterday or day first, I saw in some of the TV that the bunds are gone, and then the farmers are in a state of fear. So, and now my organization, Police Housing Construction Corporation, we are creating lot of concrete bunds around the forest in Wayanad. Forest Department has given interest to that work to us. The purpose is the elephant should not come to the agricultural area. So the government thought it fit to create huge concrete walls. The entire Wayanad will be, the forest will be encircled by huge this thing. And then when I joined, I checked up whether the water flow, whether it will be, it will happen. And then nobody got an idea. Nobody is bothered about water flow and all. The contract is given. So the wall has to be constructed. So that is the idea. And then now in Kasaragod district also Forest Department approached us. We also want walls, concrete walls. So can we stop this, creating concrete walls, so that our sustainable development, one of the pillars is ecological health, our ecosystem health. So can we have that? Another is water quality as per IPS standards. So our water is of very poor quality. So we have very few labs here checking the water quality, and most of the areas, water pipe and sewage pipe, they are all in same area, and nobody checks the quality, and many diseases come through water. So can we assure to our children water, good quality water? In some of the OECD countries, we can drink from the rivers, we can drink from the tap, any tap, drink from the rivers even. But can we drink from any of the river in Kerala? Can we drink with confidence from any of the taps in any of the hotels or anywhere? Can we? Can we reach that stage? Then building quality as per National Building Code standards. So standards are benchmarks. They are meant for improvement, progress. So, but some of our people, again, governance for whom, for what? So some of our people, they think that we want to go back to 30 years behind. We don't want to go forward. So even though it is legal, it is statutarized, the standards are statutarized in Kerala, still there is a hesitation. Even the world is moving towards safety first and prevention is better than cure. But can we follow that? Then no chemicals in fruits, vegetables and packaged foods. So then the next generation will be more healthy, their DNA damage will be much less, our health costs will be much less, and we have equipments came to the regional laboratories. They are inaugurated in Cochin Regional Laboratory. The equipment is inaugurated on December, but no standardization, no testing. Nobody is bothered. So we have the facility now to check, and if our governance system takes care, we can have healthy fruits, vegetables, and then our younger generation will be healthier. So if we can take any of these priorities, if 2, 1, 3, or all the 5, and then all the accountability mechanisms are mobilized, we will have good governance. Hypothesis testing on governance problems. So citizens want better air, better water, better roads, better buildings, better neighborhood. So when we do not burn plastic, we have better neighborhood. Then design experiments, think along. Then run social experiments. Come out of the building and then run social experiments. Then measure improvements, do analysis and conclusions. We can accept, reject, revisit, or scale up. And minimum viable desirable solutions for each of the 5 problems can be created. Are we promoting or rewarding experiments in Kerala as part of a governance? Or if anybody does any deviation, any innovation, any social experiment or administrative experiment, such people are despised, degraded, disgraced. Co-creation of governance is one of the emerging mechanisms. So can we co-create Excel Kerala? Excel Kerala is a term I have just temporarily given. So through exploration, experiment, evolve solutions and for enjoying a higher quality of life, a partnership in governance with a lot of stakeholders, lot of horizontals, civil society and other organizations. Is it possible? Leverage strategy in governance. Identify issues that are significant. I have listed a few. Each local area can, or this organization can identify a few. We should not do everything together, one small step at a time, and then experiment, and then stabilize, fine tune, and then next step. So that may be a better thing. Issues that block better quality of life of people in a unit area. What are the issues that block better quality of life? What aspect of governance? Governance is basically for prosperity, for development, for a better quality of citizens. And if that is not happening, there is some blockade somewhere, some hurdle somewhere in the governance system. What is that block? Identify that, then remove that. Research on why, how, and what of that block. Then, upon correct insight, leverage existing resources. Existing resources means it may be some office space, some computers, somebody's time. There are several types of resources we have. It is not money alone. It's not people alone. There are several resources. Then partnership building to co-create a vision of growth. Experiment, explore, and evolve. Who is accountable for a growth strategy in our governance system? Is there anybody thinking about a growth strategy other than the money aspect of it? Thank you. I stop here. So I stop because there is a question and answer session also. So I gave an overview of what is governance, what is accountability, types of accountability, horizontal, vertical, and diagonal, and then on social, and then linking governance and accountability, and then of course some ideas of better governance.